We're honored to be with, I think, the most well-sourced U.S. national security correspondent in D.C., Bill Gertz of the Washington Times, who I've known for some time. Bill, thank you for taking some time. I appreciate it.
Glad to be on the show.
So there's a lot to talk about. I wanted to speak to you because I saw your piece on the Golden Dome. Where are we on that, and is it realistic? And obviously, there's some pushback globally on that, right?
Yes, the Senate Armed Services Committee recently held a closed-door hearing on the Golden Dome system, which right now is to be funded in the bill that is now closed down the government to the tune of about $25 billion. The committee was told basically that it's going to take probably in the neighborhood of 175 billion.
Wow.
To create what would be basically a 4-layer defense system that would be used to counter both missiles, foreign missiles, including cruise missiles, ballistic missiles, and hypersonic missiles, as well as aircraft, and now the new threat posed by drones. So those are the 3 threats that they're building the system for. It's right in the concept phase. The goal is to have this system deployed by 2029. I think that's going to be difficult. Right now, my own view is that the Pentagon procurement system is really broken. We are way behind in our nuclear modernization. We have to upgrade our nuclear forces to maintain deterrence, and all of the new systems that are going to replace the old aging systems of land-based missiles, submarine missiles, and bombers are behind schedule and over budget. But Golden Dome is, the president said recently in a meeting with admirals and generals that it's going to be the most advanced technological system there is. And hopefully they will get it going.
So drones are obviously a big thing. Do we have the technology? I would hope we can get some of the Ukrainian stuff they've developed over there to incorporate. But are we there yet when it comes to drones, do you think?
The Defense Secretary, Pete Hegseth, said that counter drones and space weapons were 2 areas that the Pentagon needs to move faster on, develop better technology and be able to counter those weapons. The most we know about Golden Dome, going back to Golden Dome, is that back last month in August, there was a conference in Huntsville, Alabama, of missile defense people, and at that time, a bunch of briefing slides leaked. They were classified briefing slides, but they were leaked to Reuters and a couple of other trade publications. And that's basically the most we know about Golden Dome. And it talks about one of the unique weapons that may be used in the ground-based portion of the defense system will be the use of lasers. And I know that there's been a lot of research done, counter drone technology being done in the way of lasers to, one, either disrupt or shoot down the drones themselves, or use lasers and other kinds of directed energy to disrupt the communications between the controllers and the drones themselves.
I've always thought that, we need to have some like little mini EMP you could put on a soldier. So if he sees something coming, he just hits the button and destroys any electronics within a 20-foot area or something like that. I mean, you see some of these videos coming out of Ukraine and Donbass. It's insane. I mean, flying in the doors of helicopters, all kind of crazy stuff. I mean, I don't know how you defend against it. Any thoughts?
I think what they're hoping to do is leverage artificial intelligence, this advanced capability that involves masses of computer power with advanced software that can actually mimic human thinking. And what they can do with that is that it can react much more rapidly to also track and censor enemy drones, and then take decisions to orient weapons and counter systems to those things. That's kind of what they're hoping for. I don't know if I don't know the state of the technology on that, but I know that that's one of the areas that the military and the defense contractor community has been working.
Well, I think every soldier should have a shotgun. I think that's simple technology if anything gets close. Talking about nuclear, I read an article this morning, I don't remember who wrote it, that they may be looking at, you talked about the new nuclear systems, a new mobile ICBM system or technology capability in the U.S. Have you heard anything about that?
I've heard discussions of it.
Mhm.
Road mobile missiles and rail mobile missiles are key strategic weapons, and
Mhm.
they're very difficult to track and counter.
Mhm.
The Chinese have lots of road mobile missiles and rail mobile missiles. The Russians as well have a bunch of road mobile missiles. The U.S., because of the anti-nuclear sentiment in Congress and among Democrats, has shunned mobile basing modes for many, many decades. And now we're building the new Sentinel missile, which will replace the current arsenal of 400 single warhead Minuteman missiles. And there has been discussion about using a road mobile system. You could do it very easily. If you've traveled on our highways and seen large cranes that travel, heavy duty cranes, those frames are basically could be modified and militarized to carry a mobile missile launcher that basically road mobile, and then it lifts up, and then it's able to fire its missile. I think it's something that's worth doing, at least to a portion of the new ground-based missile systems that we're working on as part of the nuclear modernization that involves tens of billions of dollars, probably 100 or more billion of dollars, which is urgently needed. Where the calculus for deterring nuclear threats has shifted dramatically in favor of our adversaries. And
Mhm.
by that, I mean China and Russia mostly. President Trump, when he spoke to the military officials, said that the U.S. still has the best nuclear weapons and the most, but that Russia has modernized its forces and China is catching up rapidly. He said basically that in a number of years, China is going to have the same number of nuclear warheads as the US. If that's the case, we're in a big trouble because our nuclear arsenal right now is sized to counter mainly a Russian nuclear threat, and they have
Mhm.
not adjusted it despite the commander of the U.S. Strategic Command announcing that basically we're in a situation where China is in what they call breakout mode,
Mhm.
unrestrained expansion of its nuclear forces with no end in sight and no interest in limiting its forces through arms control talks. So
Yeah.
that's the situation of our nuclear forces. We're building a brand new ground-based missile called the Sentinel. It's over budget and behind schedule.
Hard to
We're
believe.
building a new B-21 bomber,
Mhm.
which is also behind schedule. And for submarines, we're building a new class of Columbia ballistic missile submarines, which is also behind schedule.
You mentioned before we were starting, and let me just, by the way, any uncertainty we can insert into the targeting equation for the other side would be good. So I think the whole mobile thing has to be advanced, at least in a way that makes them think we're doing it, at least. What about you talked about the plutonium problems. Go into that, please.
Yeah, I wrote about this in my Washington Times Inside the Ring column, which
Hmm.
appears every Wednesday.
Hmm.
And today is actually the first day of fiscal year 2026. And under a 2014 Defense Authorization Law, the Energy Department's National Nuclear Security Administration, NNSA, is required under law to be producing new plutonium pits. These are called war reserve pits. And basically, we have thousands of plutonium pits. A lot of them are aging and they need to be replaced. So Congress mandated that they produce at least a number, tens or 20s of these new plutonium pits, which are the core of a thermonuclear warhead.
Hmm.
And so far, they have not met the statutory goal of creating 10 new pits for fiscal 24, 20 for last fiscal year, which again ended yesterday, and 30 for the coming fiscal year of 2026. So this is, again, highlights the shortcomings of our nuclear infrastructure.
This is a special report.
Knowing how to invest your money is harder than ever before. Dealing with stock market volatility, record debt, and terrorist attacks requires new thinking. At U.S. Asset Management, we can help you see the world more clearly so that you can move beyond the chaos and invest with confidence. Call us, visit us online, or drop by our office. U.S. Asset Management, helping you make better decisions with your money.
Your government doesn't care about you. That's why you need a medical emergency kit. It contains life-saving medications like ivermectin, Z-Pak, and antibiotics. Stock them before they block them.
It's atrophied, it's old, it needs to be reinvigorated and really pushed to be able to strengthen our military nuclear forces, which are a bedrock of most of our military activities. If you don't have a sound strategic nuclear deterrent, it makes pressuring adversaries and preventing adversaries from doing bad things. And that's really something that's urgently needed. It's been a top priority for the Pentagon for several years now, but again, our procurement system is severely hampered. We're having a real hard time building things and getting things done.
And that's bad because we've used up a lot of our weapon stores, et cetera, that have to be replaced, and it doesn't look like we have the capability to replace them soon. What about Russia? You were talking about, I forget the exact issue you brought up regarding Russia.
Yes, it's Russia. Vladimir Putin last week came out and voiced his concerns about the Golden Dome missile, the space portion of the Golden Dome missile defense, which he said would completely neutralize their offensive capabilities. Now that's obviously a propaganda and disinformation statement, but both China and Russia are opposing the space-based element of the Golden Dome, which is going to be built in part, I believe, based on the 1980s Reagan Strategic Defense Initiative idea of something called Brilliant Pebbles. Now, Brilliant Pebbles was a revolutionary concept of placing not so much interceptors as high-speed projectiles, which can be fired from satellites against ballistic missiles that transit through space. And this is a key ability to knock out incoming missiles. And again, both China and Russia are opposing that. They say that it will neutralize their offensive missile forces. Well, why don't they reduce their offensive missile forces in response? That's why I think the Golden Dome is really an important, really urgently strategic need for the United States.
Well, we look at the Orezhnik missile and the hypersonic capability, multiple independent reentry vehicles, all of that. I mean, you just have to watch that. Orezhnik wasn't nuclear, but that multiple MIRVs coming down over Ukraine got my attention a year or so ago. What about what the meeting that happened at Quantico yesterday?
This was an amazing meeting. Yeah. We don't have the exact numbers of generals and admirals that attended, but it was in the hundreds. And this was part of a systematic plan to remove woke ideology from the military, something that has been a high priority for Defense Secretary Hegseth since he took office. I traveled with him to Asia in March on his plane, and I got 20 minutes with him. And again, he spoke eloquently about the need to reorient the military towards greater lethality and a greater warrior ethos. Now, the liberals are screaming bloody murder about this, that they feel that this is somehow wrong, but his rationale was very clear, and he gave a brilliant speech, which is online, and I urge everyone to listen to it, where he talked about this being an urgent time. We are facing immediate and growing threats from both China and Russia, and we need to prepare for war. The best way to prevent a war is to prepare for it. And that was the underlying theme of his entire context of his entire remarks yesterday. And he basically said, look, we're getting rid of woke ideology, and that includes racial and gender preferences for promotions. It includes eliminating the idea of gender ideology and radical transgenderism in the ranks. No dudes in dresses, he said. Yeah. And also getting rid of what he called the climate change religion, which again, trying to make the grass grow greener on military bases was a wasted tens of millions of dollars. So he's refocusing the military. He wants the military leadership to understand that. President Trump spoke with him, and they were very blunt. Hegseth, in his way, he said, look, if what I'm telling you makes your heart sink, please resign. We'll thank you for your service. And President Trump, when he opened his remarks, he said, this is a very quiet audience, and they started to murmur, and he said, nope, don't laugh, don't laugh. He said, you're free to say whatever you want. You're free to applaud. You're free to leave if you want. But if you do leave, that'll be the end of your rank, and that'll be the end of your career. So this was really a very blunt, hard statement to the military leadership that the days of woke ideology are over, and the days of a new warrior ethos and a new approach to the use of military power is being instituted.
What does your source network tell you about the leadership in the Pentagon? Are they on board with this, or are there still some bad apples? Which obviously they are, but how many do you think?
I don't have a real good sense of how the rank and file and the senior leadership accept this, but or reacted to it. But I can tell you this: there have been no reported resignations. So Hegseth said, if you don't like this, do us a favor and resign. Nobody's resigned. So that tells me right there that there's support for this. And I've seen a lot of retired senior flag officers, 1-star up to 4-star, online and social media saying, yes, this is just what we need. It's time to change the playbook, get rid of the politically correct nonsense, and move forward with the military's ultimate mission, which is to kill people and break things. I think that was the term that the secretary used as well.
So last question, the Washington Times was Reagan's favorite paper. I mean, you have a long history. The masthead is pretty secure. What's going on at the Times? There's a lot of mistrust in the media, not against you, but against the media.
The Washington Times is one of the legitimate conservative newspapers out there. And you mentioned Reagan. Yeah, I have a friend, lacrosse buddy of mine, who was one of Reagan's Secret Service agents. And he told me that Reagan demanded having the Washington Times every morning where he was anywhere in the world. Now, he had the Washington Post and the New York Times as well, but he insisted that the Washington Times always be with him. We are, as all newspapers are, we are struggling, and we are at a skeleton pace, but we are cranking out really good stories. And in fact, one of our new initiatives is called the Threat Status Newsletter. Now, this is a long overdue effort to leverage our national security coverage. The Washington Times was always known for its political coverage, being in Washington, which is a political town, and our local coverage. But our national security coverage was always top flight. And now we're leveraging that with the new Threat Status Newsletter. And we've done a number of conferences where we have a special page devoted to Golden Dome. We have a special initiative looking at drone warfare and the future of warfare through drones. So we're making the best of it in a very difficult business environment.
It is difficult. Bill, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Todd. It's good to be on the show.
Take care.